Get ready for a wild revelation, fam. We're about to challenge the belief that Jerry Rice is the ultimate NFL GOAT wide receiver. Yeah, sure, he had epic catches, jaw-dropping comebacks, and even a few Super Bowl victories. But we're about to introduce you to the new kid on the block who's giving Rice a run for his money, and that is Tyreek Hill. In the sunny streets of Miami, Hill has become a dual-threat phenomenon, capable of turning the game's tide all by himself. It's not that we're hating on Jerry Rice, no way. We're just facing the facts, my friends. Tyreek Hill is simply on another level, and we're about to hit you with the top 5 reasons why Hill is proving to be a better player than Rice ever was. Oh, and brace yourself for the shocking #1 reason that will leave you in awe. Don't miss out on this explosive truth on this Gridiron Showdown. Let's go. Number 5. Jerry Rice had better QBs to work with. One of the main reasons that Rice was never as good as his numbers is the level of talent throwing the rock in his direction. We could probably catch more than half of the passes that Joe Montana and Steve Young threw to Rice. Those guys are undisputed legends at the quarterback position. So, here is the reason we really think Rice is overrated. With the 49ers and Montana, Rice caught 386 passes, racked up 64 touchdowns, and compiled 6,714 yards as a receiver. That's in just 5 seasons before the Niners shipped old Joe to Kansas City. He was knocking down an average of over 1,300 yards a season. Over the next 14 years of his career, Rice averaged just over 1,100 yards a season, which sounds good until you look at his overall numbers. 1993, 94, and 95 were peak years for Rice. After those epic years, Rice's game started to lose its shine, and it was about time for him to go throw in the old towel. However, on the flip side, Tyreek Hill came into the NFL as a 5th-round selection from a school that hadn't sent a player to the NFL in more than 4 decades. Hill was basically a Swiss Army knife in college and was not even expected to be very good at the NFL level. The Chiefs picked him up mainly for punt and kick return duties, not because of his skills in catching the football, which practically nobody even knew about in 2016. Hill started out with Alex Smith as his quarterback. Do you all think Alex Smith was a top-tier NFL QB? Anywho, it wasn't until Patrick Mahomes rolled into town that Hill really started to break the records and break out of his special teams role and establish himself as a legit go-to receiver. Just keep that in mind. Rice was a receiver on day 1. Hill had to earn it. Mahomes is a once-in-a-generation talent who is probably going to rewrite the stat books by the end of his career, but is he really as good as Joe Montana and Steve Young? Well, we think it's questionable at best. So here is the real proof that Hill is simply better than Rice. Casey sold Hill to the Dolphins in 2021, and he did nothing more than set the NFL on fire while catching passes from Tua Tagovailoa, Teddy Bridgewater, and Skylar Thompson, okay? Tua is a big-time baller, but he just couldn't stay on the field in 2022 for lots of reasons, but that story is for another time. Seriously, what would Rice have been able to do with Teddy Bridgewater and Thompson instead of Montana and Young? Probably nothing. Rice was made better by catching passes from some of the best to ever play the game. Can anyone truly consider Rice the superior receiver when he only surpasses Hill's impressive 1,700 plus yards in a single season, which happened back in 1995? In the last 10 seasons of his NFL career, Rice managed to break the 1,100-yard mark just 5 more times. Is this enough to solidify his status as the better player? Or does Hill's consistent performance paint a different picture? Number 4. Super Bowls and big moments. You can't be the best if you don't show up in the biggest moments. And there are few moments in an NFL player's career bigger than the Super Bowl. Rice put up some impressive numbers over his career in the postseason, but some of these figures need to be taken with a grain of salt. For instance, the 1994 Super Bowl season saw the Niners take on the San Diego Chargers. While our hearts fondly remember the late Junior Seau, may he rest in peace, it's worth asking, can we recall any other notable players who were a part of that Chargers team? Probably not, as it was a fluke that they even made it to the show. Young hit Rice on a 44-yard pass for a touchdown less than a minute and a half into the game. The fastest TD in Super Bowl history at the time. That's a sign of bad defense, not so much a sign of Rice's excellence. Hill has been to the show 2 times already, both with Mahomes and the Chiefs, coming away victorious once. In that game, Hill made what is arguably one of the most important catches in NFL postseason history, a 44-yard duck on 3rd and 15 that sparked the Chiefs' late-game comeback. Rice undeniably holds numerous crucial records in postseason play, but it's worth noting that much of his success could be attributed to consistently being on a playoff-bound team. However, if we grant Hill another 10 or 11 years in the league, there's little doubt that Rice's records will eventually crumble in the face of Hill's extraordinary potential and longevity. Number 3. Public persona and community involvement. Jerry Rice has long been regarded as one of the NFL's nice guys, carefully nurturing his public image. However, the validity of that reputation remains a subject of debate. According to accounts from Rice's teammates, he was described as a workaholic, but video footage from the past reveals a lack of engagement with his fellow players and a self-centered approach to the game. Rice's demeanor in the locker room could even be described as intimidating. In stark contrast, Tyreek Hill represents a polar opposite. Despite a public persona tainted by domestic violence arrests and questionable lifestyle choices, Hill shines as a teammate's teammate. He thrives in the camaraderie of the locker room, whether it's lighthearted banter about who's the best or simply enjoying the game. Hill's dynamic and engaging nature sets him apart from Rice, forging stronger bonds and fostering a more vibrant team dynamic. Number 2. Skills. We've touched a bit on some of the performance metrics that set these two receivers apart, but there are few things that are simply too important to gloss over. Let's start by looking at speed. Undoubtedly, receivers who are fast are going to get open more often. Few players in the NFL can keep up with Hill, whose nickname is Cheetah. Lots of sources on the internet claim that Rice ran a 4.6 or so 40-yard dash, and almost all those sources make the claim without any proof. In his prime, Rice probably could hit 4.4, but the middle of his career, Rice was likely clocking closer to 5.0. DBs weren't as fast in his day as they are today, and a big reason that Rice's somewhat pedestrian numbers still lead to an impressive career. Now, one thing that we will say is that Rice had an otherworldly ability to pluck the ball out of the air. Oh, but we'll have more on that in our top reason why Hill is better. Watching old Rice films, it is quite impressive to see the way that he uses his body to position, make a reception, and avoid taking bone-jarring hits. Wiry, slippery, and smooth, Rice certainly honed skills at the peak of possibilities. Hill isn't just as fast, he possesses an awe-inspiring level of athleticism that can only be described as explosive. Defenders can't give him even an inch, or he may find ways to slither away. Not only is he one of the fastest players on the field, his speed is nearly automatic. Hill makes everyone else look slow. Rice never did that, even in his prime. Catching passes from Montana and Young must have been a thrill. The execution of the passes was at such a high level that all a receiver needed to do was to be in the right spot and put their hands up. Mahomes isn't that type of QB, and lots of his passes come from weird angles and get shot out at unexpected times. That anyone can catch a Mahomes pass is a bit of a mystery, but Hill made it look like a piece of cake. And now in Miami, he is getting fed by a QB who probably won't ever be considered for the Hall of Fame, but he is still torching defenses. That is skills. Number 1. You can't cheat your way to the top. Were you as shocked as we were to hear Jerry Rice brag about cheating throughout his career? Here are his own words. I know this might be a little illegal, guys, but you put a little spray, a little stickum on your gloves, make sure that texture is a little sticky. Rice said in an interview with ESPN in 2015. He later tweeted an apology, essentially shirking responsibility for cheating. "I apologize, people. After doing my research about Stickum, the NFL banned this in 1981. All players did it. Hashtag equal playing field," his tweet read. What happens when we consider the possibility that some of Jerry Rice's extraordinary feats were influenced by banned substances that aided his performance? Well, if we eliminate the games where he may have exploited the system, we're left wondering how many of his remarkable catches would have been turned into drops. The evidence speaks for itself. Take a look back at Rice's rookie season and you'll find numerous drops, including easy catches that should have been routine. Even during his time with Steve Young at the helm, drops persisted. So here's the dilemma. While many hail Jerry Rice as the greatest receiver ever based on his impressive statistics, should we place an asterisk next to that claim, considering the potential cheating involved? Meanwhile, keep your eyes fixed on Miami. Tyreek Hill is blazing a trail to become the true epitome of a receiver in NFL history. While Rice's legacy may be tarnished with cheating, Hill is poised to establish his own legacy as a receiver who rose to the top through sheer skill, leaving Rice and other disgraced players in the dust. Let the debate rage on. Is Rice truly the greatest, or should we re-evaluate our assessment in light of these revelations? Let us know in the comments below.